I was very fortunate to be in a position to buy an apartment straight out of college. It's a weird unit on a high floor of a weird building, but I've gut renovated it and made it really nice. One aspect of my home was created just to fulfill a childhood fantasy. A secret room. It's simple, a flush mount bookcase put in the doorway. It leads to what would otherwise be a windowless very large closet or a very small room. I made it into a cute secret lair reading nook, but with no windows, it never got used. Ended up being more long-term storage. I never told anyone about it, because it was a secret room. I kind of figured at one point I'd tell my girlfriend, Emma, but I didn't want to tell her until I had a reason to. I had finished it shortly before meeting her. I figured maybe one day if we had a kid, I could remove the bookcase and bam, we'd have plenty of space to put in a changing table setup. Or a craft nook for her. But I largely forgot about it, except when I needed to pull something out from back there. Which is rare. Fast forward to yesterday. Emma, now my fiancée, has been living with me in my, now our, apartment for 8 months. During this time, I've kept the secret room. A secret. It's not like I was thinking about it all the time. I only consciously did something sneaky maybe 3 times since she's moved in, to get Christmas lights, a spare coffee maker, and to put away a novelty item she probably thought I threw out. And the reason I was sneaky at those times was because again, I didn't want to waste the surprise on Christmas lights. We've both been working from home lately, and we aren't really able to leave very often, due to circumstances. And she jokingly announced we needed a new room to shake things up from her normal commute. Bedroom to living room, so of course I excitedly pulled open our built-in bookshelf and showed her our room. And she flipped out. She is furious at me. She sees me keeping this secret as a major betrayal of trust, given that this is her home. She's acting like I cheated on her. I tried to explain I was waiting for a special moment, but she thinks that makes it worse. I have no idea if she's being unreasonable or if I am. Am I the idiot? I couldn't help but laugh. I understand the bat cave mentality as I'm also a guy, but I think it's probably came off more cruel vibe. I want to say not the idiot, but logically, everyone's the idiot here. It's your place, so what if you have a secret room? It's your secret room. But you should have also told her about it after being with her for so long. Maybe a week after she moves in. Not telling her is like you do not trust her with your secret, which is a bad thing I suppose. No idiots here, you've done nothing wrong, but it's understandable why she might feel weirded out that a place she's called him for 8 months has secrets she doesn't know about. She might be wondering if there's anything else hidden that she doesn't know about. I'd suggest talking it over, explaining that you never meant anything malicious about and that it was just a childhood thing. She'll come around eventually. No idiots here. A secret room is everyone's childhood fantasy, so that is amazing. From her perspective it does come across as a bit weird and potentially creepy that there was this whole other room that she didn't know about. And it's not like it was just some cupboard she walked past every day and didn't look at. It was a whole different room purposely hidden, not from her specifically but still. Potentially she is worried about why you would need a secret room, what you do in there and what other secrets you have. You need to communicate with her. She probably needs some reassurance that you aren't a creep or weirdo and that it's just a fun little thing. I, 36, flew home for Thanksgiving this week and got an early flight this morning so I would be able to do laundry tomorrow and relax before going back to work. I am a plus-size woman. The cause was finally diagnosed after 3 years of weight gain. I've lost 4 pounds in the last 4 weeks, so when I booked my flights, I spent extra money and booked 2 adjacent seats so whoever had the third seat in my row would not have to be squished up in my business. Flying out was great, the other person in my row was cool and we shared the middle seat and snacks and played Pokemon on our Switches and visited each other's Animal Crossing islands. Flying home was where things became a bit more problematic. I was settled into my pair of seats, and a gentleman tried to sit his daughter, Tilda 12, not a waif, nor was her overweight dad, in my middle seat, where my bum is taking up a good third of the middle seat. I said politely, "I'm sorry, that seat is booked. Your daughter can't sit there," while putting my hand on the other 2/3s of the seat. He immediately complained that he hadn't been able to book seats together and he needed to sit with his daughter. I shrugged and said I was sorry, but it wasn't my problem, that wasn't his seat. He called over a stewardess to complain. I explained my situation and showed my pair of tickets, and the flight attendant offered to comp my extra seat. I said no, thank you. I needed the extra room and waved to where my bum was partway into the middle seat. The stewardess came back 10 minutes later with a wife from a couple who agreed to switch seats so the man could sit with his daughter. But not without attempting to shame me for not be willing to help out a dad in need and commenting about how selfish I was. I said, I booked early, and I booked 2 seats together because, to put it plainly, I'm fat. His 2 seats were separate seats. How exactly do you propose I split my big butt in half to sit one half in one seat and the other half in his other seat? The woman turned red in the face and whined at me for being disgusting. I replied that his lack of planning was not my emergency, and she scowled at me for the entire rest of the flight. When I told my folks about it after I landed, my dad thought it was the funniest thing he'd ever heard, but my mom yelled at him for encouraging him and said I should have been more willing to help out a dad with a kid when I had 2 seats. So I want to know, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. In the whole plane, there wasn't a single other person willing to swap seats? I'd have been tempted to let her sit there and just squish her personally. And she's 12-ish? I bet she'd have been happy to sit away from dad and text her friends and not have him looking over her shoulder. Congrats on the weight loss. Not the idiot. You paid good money for that seat, so it's yours. She should sit in the seat that was bought for her. I am obese and so are my parents. When I was a kid they always used to sit me in the middle seat and I hated it because I was always squished and it was so uncomfortable. To this day I hate being in window or middle seats because of it. Good on you for booking an extra seat both for yours and the other person's comfort. I wish you good luck in your health journey. You took the time, effort and money to make sure you had what you needed way ahead of time. That seat was taken. I get why a father would want to sit with their kid. It would be okay to ask, but no, I booked this seat should have been the end of it. If people had respected you from the get-go there wouldn't have been a need to be so blunt, but they didn't. Your funny as hell explanation shuts down any other argument. I, 26, don't remember how exactly, but when I was in my early teens, I found a great way to shut down rude people. I was overweight in a family of skinny people, so whenever we all met, at least a couple people would tell me, "Oh, you put on some weight since we last saw you." One day I just started replying with, "That's rude, don't you think?" People got upset at first, but when my parents backed me up, they learned to leave me alone. Over the years I would reply with something along those lines whenever someone asks/says something they shouldn't. My cousin brought his wife to the family home, grandparents, for Thanksgiving. This is the first time that we met. They live in another state, met and married during the pandemic. We were talking around the table when it was brought up that I changed jobs. I left my father's business for something that uses my degree. Everyone was congratulating me for finally having a foot in the door, and saying that I would have a great career. Then my cousin's wife, out of nowhere, says that I should have been more loyal to my father, that helping him is better and more fulfilling than chasing after a career in my field. So I told her thank you for the unsolicited opinion on my life. She got upset, and more so when no one rebuked me. Then she said I was just trying to be helpful, and I replied, "And I was just trying to tell you that you were rude." She got more upset, and left the room. But my cousin called me a petty idiot, and said that I should know better than to be an idiot to someone who was just stating an opinion. I fired back, and I was also just stating an opinion. It's not my fault she couldn't handle it. Now that I had a couple days to think back on, I feel like an idiot for ruining Thanksgiving and making everyone feel awkward. So am I the idiot? Not the idiot. First, was it really just an unsolicited opinion? Because her wording comes off like she's trying to tell you what to do/shame you for your decision. And this was at your first meeting of her. Does she lack tact? Sure seems like it. And her comment that she was just trying to be helpful sounds like an attempt to save face. I am also bothered that instead of just apologizing, she got more upset and left the room for your cousin to deal with it. I don't think you ruined Thanksgiving. You're not the one that said something so rude and thoughtless. Not the idiot. Funny how hypocritical people are. She can dish it, but she can't take it. You understand the situation perfectly, OP, and I love the way you shut down people's rude comments. I can just hear your even-handed nonplussed delivery as though you were saying pass the salt. She ruined the mood when she poked her snoot into business not her own, and then tried to double down. I suspect, as usual with people who try that with you, she won't do it again. Not the idiot. Cousin's wife was pretty bold in her assumptions, wasn't she? She was rude, and that was more than just an opinion. She openly judged and talked down to you at the family dinner table. She should have read the room. Everyone was happy for you, yet she felt the need to rain on your parade. She was the one being unnecessarily petty. You handled it like an absolute boss and with more restraint that many could manage. Backstory. My husband and I had a full-term stillbirth back in 2014. We were obviously devastated. We had just gotten the room ready for her to come home and had our bags packed. We named her Delaney, Laney. We post on social media at least twice a year. We had therapy in order to cope with the loss. We were numb for many months following. The families knew how bad it was for us. This year, my BIL and SIL were pregnant with their third baby. Normally they share the names they are considering, but didn't this time. I didn't really think much of it. I mean, we all have busy lives. Well, we found out her name from a social media post. It's Lane. My husband and I were a little shocked, but we thought we would first say congrats and then ask what the nickname would be. They responded Laney. We stated that it was really close to what we named the baby we lost, super chill, not rude or confrontational, and the wife got ticked and ended up blocking us on social media over it. The BIL just said they aren't the same name, so he doesn't understand why we are upset. They knew her name. They knew her nickname and what we called her. I just don't understand how they don't hear how similar Delaney, Laney, and Lane, Laney, are. And, for anyone who may suggest or make a comment that our baby doesn't count since she wasn't born alive, please scroll on. Not the idiot. It is clear they knew the name would upset you, and likely others in the family, which would explain why no one shared the name prior to the birth. SIL likely got upset because in today's world most people, family, remain silent over things like this for the sake of peace, and she was called out on it. I'm so sorry for your loss. I had a miscarriage and her name was meant to be Holly. My, now ex-husband's sister then got pregnant and had a girl and named her Haley. Fortunately, I had already divorced him by this time, but I was pretty hurt anyway since they knew the name as well. This isn't okay, it's honestly just rude and inconsiderate. Not the idiot. I am so sorry for you all's loss. When you think of your child, you likely think of her as her nickname at times. Of all the names in the world, your BIL, SIL chose the identical nickname for their child. This is heartbreaking in my opinion, so unnecessary. I'm so sorry.